We are live. How are you guys doing? Today we're going to be talking with a gentleman named Dan the Wolfman. We're going to bring him on. He's called me out. He called me out old school YouTube style. You know? The old school YouTube call out, whatever that means. We're going to talk about YouTube call-out culture, how it relates specifically to martial arts. You know, it's funny if bakers were calling each other out because they're not going to, like, fight each other. But we're going to talk about Dan the Wolfman Theodore, which is funny. His middle name is Cage. Like, if a guy was ever born to be a fighter, a guy with a middle name Cage. Dan the Wolfman Theodore is a professional fighter, actor, stuntman, YouTuber, martial arts instructor, tons of experience, tons of knowledge, is true old school. He's the last of a dying breed. There's never going to be another guy like him. So if he's so credible and so experienced and so knowledgeable, how did he become so irrelevant? How did he become so insecure? How did he become the type of guy that would call out a YouTuber in a very abstract way and start giving me shit and calling me out, calling Sensei Seth out, calling Jesse Enkamp out, calling everybody he can get his hands on, and going up the food chain, calling out people even bigger. He has a long history of this, but you guys know that I don't like to talk shit behind people's back. I like to talk shit, straight to their face. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Dan the Wolfman Theodore. Dan, how are you?
All right, Michael. First off, I want to say thank you for having me on, Michael.
Don't call me Michael. Only my
I'm
mom
a big
calls me
fan. Michael, I absolutely loved you on The Shield, and to have such a strong performance years later on FADA is really, really something.
Yeah. So, Dan's a funny guy. Dan is a comedian. He likes to have fun, but sometimes online it gets hard. The lines get blurred. We're talking about serious stuff in an unserious way, and then we're talking about kind of stupid stuff in a serious way, especially when it comes to internet martial arts. So he rubs people the wrong way. He's basically a YouTube troll, but the difference between Dan and the average YouTube troll, 99 times out of 100, a YouTube troll pops up and comments and talks shit and calls you out. 99 times out of 100, it's some little pencil neck geek that can't fight. And you would think, like, show up to sparring. If a guy gets in my comments and I'm like, show up to sparring, show up to sparring, show up to sparring, they never will. Dan would, and Dan would probably kick your ass, right? He's not the greatest fighter in the world. He has a professional record, but nothing to write home about, I mean, depending on, not when compared to the top guys, we're talking the top UFC guys in the world, but as far as experience and knowledge and being around for the very beginning of mixed martial arts, he was there. So the guy is legit. No one argues that you can't fight, Dan. Everyone knows you can fight. Everyone knows you can wrestle. Everyone knows your jiu-jitsu is good. He recently put out a course on BJJ Fanatics, and as goofy and silly and zany and weird as Dan is, BJJ Fanatics would not have a course with him if there wasn't some legitimacy to what he was doing. So Dan, with all that being said, how did you become so irrelevant?
Well, I'm not sure if I like that word because I'm still a human being, but I'm a dinosaur,
so
and I admit I'm becoming a dinosaur, and less relevant as I get older. My body becomes less, my abilities diminish as Father Time goes on.
Because I want to be clear, because it might sound like I am being harsh. When I say irrelevant, I don't mean to the universe. I don't mean to your family or even to me or to people that care about you. I'm not saying irrelevant to them. When I say irrelevant, I'm talking about in the conversation of online martial arts content, martial arts in general. And the only reason that I would say irrelevant is if you desired to be relevant. If you didn't care about martial arts, if you didn't care about online martial arts content, if you didn't care about YouTube or care about your course or care about teaching, your relevancy wouldn't matter. But you do desire to be relevant in those spheres, and it's not up for discussion whether or not you are less relevant than you would like to be in that area. Now, the universe loves you. I love you. We all love you. But why is no one watching your videos? Why is no one, why aren't you on the forefront? Why aren't you in the corner of UFC champions? Why aren't you packing out seminars right now? We're going to find out why. We're going to get to the bottom of why, and hopefully work on fixing that.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. And I think I was early, before my time. Before the time. I was a little early, and now I'm a little older. So, I'm some missed windows, perhaps?
So you missed windows. So maybe you were ahead of your time, and now you're behind your time, maybe? Is that what you're saying?
Something like that, yeah.
That's
yeah, definitely something like that.
So maybe you were before your time because you incorporate lots of martial arts that a lot of people would overlook. Aikido, Sistema. You have content that's based on sport-based rules, and you have a lot of self-defense related content. You're recently even doing firearms content,
Yeah, that's all true. And my grappling was never like sport jiu-jitsu. I was early on that. It always was like focused more towards no-gi, and I always included like strikes or self-defense in my mind because that's how I grew up in the old school days. It wasn't like sport jiu-jitsu. And I'm a catch wrestler, so hence catch jiu-jitsu. Blending everything together, that was kind of ahead of its time. I started, martial arts 86. I started hardcore MMA, jiu-jitsu, catch wrestling, everything 97. So it was kind of early blending those things. That stuff wasn't jiu-jitsu until recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my early YouTube videos was 2009 on my old channel and on Expert Village and Ehow. I did 45 little self-defense videos, and that's really before YouTube blew up, and those got combined, they're at about 17, 18 million views, I think.
So you were in early as far as online martial arts content.
Yeah. And my old channel was starting to really do well, really do well, and then I got shut down. And I was at 16,000 views, but some of my videos had really blowing up. Some of the stuff I was teaching at the time in 2014 when I was coaching in Malaysia, like front headlock system, I was systemizing grappling before that became the in thing to do. Before Danaher and his students started doing that, I was breaking down each position. And really, I do a lot of rare subs before it became and people online are like, oh, that could never work, before some of them got retaught by Brazilians, such as my arm weave became known as a reverse Kimura, and just a whole lot of submission stuff I put out there. So, unfortunately, I got shut down. I had some early videos of Bruce Lee. I was putting up some other people's content, kind of ripping some stuff. I had an early Bruce Lee video that was super popular. Him actually sparring with headgear on at Long Beach. My video had blown up. I got the early 1981 real blood sport video, Kumite, where there's kicks to the head on the ground, karate guys, and the ref would let him go on the ground a few seconds. But it wasn't that. I got 3 strikes. One, I think, came from Joe Rogan's podcast. He actually used a video, and you could see the screenshot that I was marketing my Combat Jiu-Jitsu DVD on the bottom, and my website, The Combat System, is what it was called on YouTube back then, thecombatsystem.com. On the bottom, screeners, the YouTube used to let you put overlays on. And that was Yoda, Mifune, real Yoda master, takes challenges from high-level students. The Mifune, it was, Mifune, the very older, short judo master, and all his black belt students trying to throw him, and he's floating his hips over. So that was fine on YouTube. No one had a claim on it. And then on Rogan's show, it blew up so big that whoever the old archive footage from way back in the day in Tokyo made a claim. Another one is because of the Gracies. I'm cool with some Gracies, but I also give a lot of knowledge away for free, and I don't think that always goes good with people that are mostly concerned about the cheddar. So one of them was Metamoris 4, Shinya Aoki, who I have rolled with and trained with a couple of times in Singapore. Shinya Aoki got tapped with a 10-finger guillotine by Crone Gracie, and they went off the mats, except that one of Crone's students, or the Gracie guys, put his back as he was getting tapped. They would have fell off the platform and did a back ostender mat. Now, you didn't see that from all angles.
Dan,
but I was saying,
this is going to be the story of this podcast or this broadcast. You go into so much detail when you're talking about this stuff. From the name dropping to the superfluous details. You're a dinosaur on YouTube, Dan. You don't understand how YouTube works anymore.
All right.
I'm here to help you because
I'm not hip.
I'm here to help you because there's things that you are doing wrong, and it's keeping you from spreading the knowledge that you do have. Like, I'm not here to tell you don't know what you're doing, but we got a question in the live chat. Somebody missed something. They said, what did Dan say about Mike? Like, how did this start? So we'll go to catchjitsu.com, which is apparently the name of your YouTube channel. I don't know. Your YouTube channel should just be Dan the Wolfman. That's what people type in. No one's going to type in catchjitsu.com. No one's going to type in catchjitsu.com. So let's bring this up. Let me see if I can bring the audio. What did you say about me? Ooh. What?
Well, you first mentioned me in the Aikido Sucks video.
Yeah, I did.
So it kind of goes back to that.
What did you say?
And then I made a video about the foot stomps, because you did a foot stomps and shin kicks. You've been stalking me, Dan.
You've been making response videos to my stuff, and now you've called me out.
Well, you blew up, homie. You were smaller and gave love to me, and then you blew up because you're a marketing wizard. What can I say?
I'm a marketing wizard. You think I'm a marketing wizard?
You're pretty good at this stuff.
Well, you said something in one, and I remember I made a comment, something offhanded about how you were, quote unquote, making Aikido work, but all you were doing was just wrist locking little 14-year-old Asian boys and throwing them all over the place, right? That's hyperbole. Yeah. That's me being facetious. That's comedy. That's obviously that's not always the case. There's plenty of videos of you tossing big dudes. There's plenty of videos of you not doing so well. You're a martial artist. You're a fighter. Like, you spar and you train. You've had fights. That's a joke, right? So what you did is you took that and you did what old school YouTube used to do, and you say, well, I'm going to respond, and then he's going to respond, and we'll respond and respond and respond, and it'd be this responseception, multi-level thing with a call out. That's very old school YouTube, and that's how YouTube used to work. But YouTube does not work that way anymore. And it is not about marketing. It's not marketing. I'll tell you how to make YouTube work. And I'm going to bring up a prime example of old school YouTube. If you search for Dan the Wolfman John Jones on YouTube, you get a super interesting video. Let's bring this up. We type in, y'all got my browser? If I type in Dan the Wolfman John Jones, I get this video. We get a couple videos where you've broken down some techniques, done some things, but I want to play this. I don't know if the audio is coming through or not, but we'll play it. And what he says. You told him, John Jones, you made videos on how to beat him. He said, you respect the game, you know the game, and you know what you're talking about. John Jones said that to you, to your face. You were able to get this close to John Jones, and he gave you props, and said John Jones, the greatest, one of, like, depending on who you ask, the greatest martial artist to ever walk the planet, or at least the greatest fighter to ever walk the planet, and people are going to argue, whatever, he's definitely up there. You got this close to him. What year was this?
I don't know, probably about 5 years ago.
You were in a position where you could be this close to this man, and at the time, if you go look at Dan's channel, when this is over, I put a link down in the description below. When this is over, everyone go look. He has interviews with Ronda Rousey. He has interviews with Fabricio Verdum. He has interviews with, like, everybody. Everybody. I went in the last podcast, I went in the list, and people were like, what? And they have. So here's what happened, is you got this close to John Jones, and he told you how great you are, right? And what did you do with this time, this opportunity? You were in a position where this man knows who you are and gives you props unsolicited, you know? And what do? You get this close to him, you ask him a pretty good question, you film it with a potato. I don't know what you were filming with, right? And then let's rewind, and this, look, you did some other smart things, like you show techniques, you showed his arm crank technique and stuff like that. But what do? You get to here, and when is this? This is a couple years later, and you call the man out.
John Jones, why you running, man? Okay, you need something to do. I'll tune you up.
John Jones, why you running, man? You need something to do. I'll tune you up.
Wait, what?
See,
did I really?
You called out John Jones to a grappling match, and then when he ignored you, which that's what he should do, and he might not have even ever seen it, you said, why are you running? Now, I know why you do these things, and this is a very old school way of YouTube. What I want to not only help you, I want to help any other aspiring martial arts YouTubers, or just YouTubers in general, who maybe were around for that old school point, to realize that that's not how it works anymore. You have a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience and a lot of skill, but it's not about how great you are. So when I tune into your videos and you're name dropping and you're talking about the history and, like, just making sure that in every minute of every video, everyone watching it knows how great you are, all that time should be used to provide value and contribute to that person, because they don't care how great you are. They care about what you can do for them. So this knowledge that you have about the techniques of John Jones, you know what I mean? John Jones, nasty tech, 2-on-1 elbow break, you know, the bent elbow crank, you know, that little elbow crank that he used, you know, you can provide value to people who are interested in that sort of thing. So that's what I wanted to get across to you as far as YouTube. If you want your YouTube to be successful, and I want your YouTube to be successful because you are funny and you're entertaining and you do provide value. I've learned things from your videos. So I want them to be more popular. So I want more people to watch them, so you'll make more of them. So you'll make more money making them, and then be able to make more of them, and so on and so forth. And then it had nothing to do with marketing. My channel blew up when I stopped trying to, like, when I let my ego go and I let my insecurities go. And I just thought, with every video, how much value can I provide the viewer, regardless of if I make sure everyone knows how fucking great I am or whatever. If you just focused 100% of your time on providing value to anyone, that probably what you do in your course, I doubt you spend 10 minutes in your BJJ Fanatics course saying, oh yeah, so-and-so used to sleep on my couch and I used to spar with so-and-so and so-and-so so did this. I doubt you do that in there. You have to treat YouTube.
I did in the intro a bit. It's right, 4.5 hour
I understand,
course.
And you can't help yourself. And if I had those stories, I bet it would be hard to keep a bottle on them all the time. But
it's just the people. I'm eccentric's probably a good word for me. I am a little out there, and these are just the people I grew up with. I mean, I don't go out much. I don't interact much. Those are just the people.
We got a question,
you know?
From Proto Man. He says he found an old homeless Asian guy that knows White Lotus, Tai Chi, Kung Fu, Teriyaki, chicken style. Says he'll teach everything for a sandwich. Sound legit? He wants your thoughts.
Yes. Always go there. You always go there. Honest to God, there was a no. Little, I'll try to keep it short. There was an old drunk cook at Denny's when I was 17, 18 years old, and I learned some crazy stuff from this old drunk, possibly former hitman cook at Denny's. Crazy old school kung fu tai chi stuff.
Crypto Pirate, if you have questions for Dan, make sure I get them. Crypto Pirate 1776 says, you know who I think these are? I have a theory. I'm going to read this to you and you'll start to guess. He says, could anybody living today truly defeat Count Juan Rafael Dante if he were still here? That was true marketing. Remember Count Dante?
Yes. Thank you. And I want to say thank you to the OG Don Quixote. I got quite a laugh out of the Don Quixote reference. And if I had beers with any of these guys before or stuff that I can't remember because I've been hit in the head too much, I like some of these people are speaking up like they knew me 20 years ago and stuff.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Nepthu says, Dan talks more than he listens. I think that's the turnoff. So Nepthu, normally 100% I would say you're totally right. And if you remember the interview I did with Joe from Fight Perfect, that was largely the problem. But I think Dan is doing an excellent job today. Every other day, I think you'd be right. Dan is like about Dan. Like here's this, he just has to get it out. But I think he's doing a good job. I think he's open.
I'm trying.
I know it's tough for you, Dan. I know it's tough, but you are doing a good job. I think you know that I am here to help you. Like I sincerely want to see you successful. I sincerely want to see you happy and successful and be able to do martial arts for a living and like that and not and be duly compensated for it. I want you to have not just, and I don't even mean just in money, in the attention and the respect and the affirmation that you've always been looking for. And you've probably never gotten as much respect as you deserve, but I think that you think you deserve a little more than you do. There's a middle point where I think when you don't get quite the props that you deserve, sometimes you overcompensate. We all do. I'm not saying you. I don't say you're doing that. I'm saying people do that.
No, that's
you're
not
not getting the props you deserve. So I'm sitting at 175,000 subscribers, right? My YouTube channel is blowing up. That's a true statement. And I don't know half of what you know. I haven't done half of what you've done. You were pretty much the prototype. You were the prototype of Icy Mike, actually. You were the original version of the shit talking, bullshito busting, but also open to traditional martial arts YouTube sensation that is hard to hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, and in fact, we got to team up, man, because one of my someone commented on one of my YouTube videos, and he had a great suggestion, bro. He had a great suggestion. We need to do an 80s buddy cop movie. Dan the Wolfman and Icy Mike in Hard to Hurt.
Let's look at some of these questions because I think there's a lot of people here for you, man. If Dan makes a new channel called Dan the Wolfman, I will subscribe immediately. I think he could do it. I don't think you need to make a new channel. I think you need to revamp the one you got. A lot of those subscribers are probably dead, but I think if you revamped, there's still old school dudes out there. There's still like dudes that loved Pride and loved the old school Valtudo and like Because Pro. Yeah, Dan is doing a decent job. I'm not talking about Dan too much. Kind of like Tony Blauer. I want to learn what he has to know, but I don't want to learn it from him. BF Galbraith says, I was a Wolfman fan, but he's easily... honest, fair, right? I agree with that statement. I want to know everything you know. I just don't want to learn it. Like, I don't want to, you said something funny in the response video. You said, these guys don't know what it's like to spar Tank Abbott. And I'm like, yeah, but it probably sucked. He probably punched you in the head really hard. Y'all probably beat the shit out of each other like a bunch of idiots, right? I don't know what that's like because we don't do that anymore because it's dumb.
It's a different era.
It is.
It's a different era.
You are in a different era, whether you like it or not. That's where we are.
I'm anachronistic. I've always been in a different area. I'm an old school guy born out of time.
You were a new school guy born in the old school, and now you're an old school guy in the new school. Is actually what happened. Just like you said, you were in a window. BF Galbraith says,
Yeah.
I was a Wolfman fan, but he's easily his own worst enemy. He will do stuff like post a non-sparring Sistema video and then totally go off if you question it. Now, Dan, you don't even have to defend yourself because I got your back. What Dan is doing is what his training and conditioning in YouTube tells him to do. YouTube used to be about starting shit. So when people commented on your stuff, you got into it. That's how the views came. You know what I mean? That's like how you did it. That's why he's doing that. That's why I'm not. It's
well for fun too, man. A lot of the stuff I do is for fun.
But people can't always tell. You know, people can't always tell. They don't have enough exposure to you. They don't have enough exposure to you to know. Oh, this is like. I mean, I have haters, but the vast majority of my viewers know when I'm just being like, well, I'm just doing my stuff, like my shtick or my gimmick. But. So what do you think about your future in YouTube? Given all this information, given me breaking it down for you, I'm not, I was about to say, I'm not saying I'm an expert, but you could argue, just like when you told me, when I made fun of you for doing Aikido on little 14-year-old boys, you know what I mean? And you said you should have the wisdom to know when someone knows more about something than you do, right? I'd say I have some expertise in this. Given what I've said, given what the response has been, at least from my viewers here, what do you think about your future in YouTube?
I think I need to start teaching again if I can, but COVID's going to make that very difficult. That way I can film more martial arts related content like I used to, in which case taking your advice and shortening stuff up. The channels that blow up make 8-minute videos and they're towards a lower a younger demographic. And towards like white belt, blue belts, and jiu-jitsu, for instance, as opposed to my stuff was always for like purple belt level and up. I got some black belt haters, younger guys, and I got some old school black belts that love my stuff, and like pro fighters that love my stuff. So I never marked. I mean, my stuff was like 14-minute videos. It was always too long and too detailed and way too many submissions. But I was okay with being me at that time.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think you should. I'm not saying don't be yourself, right? I'm saying like the mission each time. Instead of trying to head off the pass, instead of trying to say like, well, I need to say this so that they know that I know what I'm talking about. I was talking with a young guy who just starting in YouTube, like just starting, 34 subscribers, hit me up, sent me a video. It was like 4 minutes of him saying shit so that you couldn't say. It was a video about how to fight with your hands, starting a fight with your hands down, right? And he knows that all the trolls are going to jump all over the video and say, oh, you shouldn't have your hands down, or you shouldn't be that close, or you shouldn't do this, or that would never work, blah, blah. So he spent 4.5 minutes explaining, I'm talking about when this happens and blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And it's like, fuck them people. Fuck all of them. Like, they're not going to listen anyway. So fuck the trolls. Fuck the haters. You're your example of a troll. You're the prototypical YouTube troll. They can't out troll a troll. You know what I mean? So fuck what they think, right? Make a 7.5 minute video breaking down how to improve your grips looking for a Kimura. I guarantee, and that's just off the top of my head. I can never finish a Kimura. They always squirrel their arm out. So like you could easily say, oh, it's because you're not doing this with your pinky or whatever. You know what I mean? That video right there, that's your future. Proto-Man asks you a question. He says, does Dan know about your terrifying fight with a ninja? Do you know about my fight with a ninja?
Is that the one you wouldn't shake hands with? I've watched a few of your streams.
We did touch gloves. It just wasn't it didn't end up in the video. After.
That's old school hardcore, Mike. I don't know, man. You're a happy-go-lucky guy now. Did you have a little darker tinge to you a few years ago?
Yeah. Well, I was following in your footsteps. My original plan for content was just to troll people and just to get into fights and show up at open mats and just like throw down and be the first guy willing to do it on the internet regularly. You know what I mean? I was following basically a path that you laid. You know what I mean? But I realized it didn't work. It didn't work. It didn't help anyone. I never felt good about any of it after I did it. It didn't. I wasn't. improving anyone's life, and I wasn't improving myself, and I wasn't having fun. And the thing that we keep repeating in all these videos and interviews and stuff that we're doing with people is that the goals should be to contribute, to help people, right? That's number one. Number two should be to improve yourself, and number three should be to have fun. And if it's not in one of them things, why are we doing it?
Yeah, that makes sense. I need to listen to that advice about being more towards helping the people, but it's also generational gap in a way that people have. Society's changed. It's an ADHD world, and they just want it right now, short and quick, no intro, bam. And my stuff was always more like here for the fighters. My stuff was always for the professionals that would put in the time to listen to a long video. And if he does this, do this, and here are your 18 submission options. I mean, it's a different thing in a changing world.
That would be material for your course. Tell us about your course. Like don't do a commercial, but like explain what it is. It's street based, right?
Yeah, it's street based because I'm not an ADCC champion, guys. I never thought I was the best fighter in the world or the best grappler in the world, but I'm okay,
hard
right?
to hurt viewers, does that sound familiar? Go ahead. I learned so much from this guy.
People don't get that about me. And I'm BJJ Fanatics, combatives, and street jiu-jitsu. So I've had a lot of scary real-world self-defense situations. I forget a lot of them as I traveled around the world and been in big cities, whatever. So I wanted to give people my knowledge to keep them safe. Like, I am a very loving, caring guy, and I don't think people online get that in 2D typing. But anyway,
also,
instead of making a 1 hour video, I made a 4.5 hour video for everybody.
No, Dan, it's not that they don't get it because you're typing. They don't get it because you don't show it to them. Not in your videos and not in your content and not in your comments currently. I know that about you. People that know you know that about you, but your online persona does not project that at all. And people need to know that about you. I mean, you can still clown on people. You can still talk shit. You can still beat me up. Maybe one day we'll make a video together where you beat me up, and that'll be super fun. But people need to know that about you.
They do, and I'm eccentric with communication issues, and perhaps I'm, I don't know, like Ben Affleck in that movie. I don't know. You know the one where he's an assassin?
Yeah. You're a sociopath, is what you're saying.
Borderline Asperger's, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, the course, I start off with basic strikes and stuff. I'd love you to review it someday, or at least like scan through it. I start off with basic strikes. I try to give stuff for the beginners. I try to give stuff that you could watch it with your girlfriend, mother, child, loved one to help protect them, talking about awareness, real street skills, about if you do have your hands down, about if a guy is in your face, you should be putting up a fence, about the 15 most common attacks that I've seen and witnessed. I've bounced off and on doing security for like 24 years. I've been involved in a lot of stuff. So I have a lot of street experience that even the jiu-jitsu world, jiu-jitsu isn't the jiu-jitsu I started in back in 97. Things have changed, but it's still stuff that really everyone that goes into any martial art, they want to know how to defend themselves. They want to be hard to hurt. So I try to give. I'm getting better, and so really I break stuff down, and hopefully people will enjoy the Combatives and Street Jiu-Jitsu series.
I'm curious as to your thoughts, because you get a lot of shit from the more sportive and more up-to-date and more current community. A lot of them guys would clown on you, and I experienced that same thing. And all my
floppers and barambolos, baby.
Yeah, but the majority of, and here's the thing, I'm curious your thoughts on it, because while your focus is combatives and self-defense, you also do have a strong understanding of the sport and rules around the sport, and you've competed. Do you think that, so I always say like this, like the reality-based self-defense geeks that never spar think that this is like what a street fight is like, and that there's a huge difference between it and sport, right? And then the sport-based guys tend to think a little too highly of their stuff, and they think that this is all you need. And that I think the truth is that there is a difference, but just not quite as big as these people think. Does it make sense what I'm trying to get at? Like,
yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's even something about MMA and pressure testing. I said in my video back to Ramsey and NCAP the other day.
And I think that sometimes the guys who are the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu experts at the super high, Abu Dhabi champion level, right? Of course, they would easily beat up anybody that attacked them. You know what I mean? Most likely. But what I usually try to get across to people about self-defense is that it's not that those techniques that they would use wouldn't work. It's that they're a little bit overkill and unnecessary, and that the self-defense techniques should be pared down. And that's actually, I mean, we're talking about, like...
Yeah, even those guys would smoke someone one-on-one, but they might get kicked in the head when they're mounted on somebody. The guy might pull out a knife and shank them. We've seen some instructors that have been shot in Brazil, in America, Muay Thai fighter, rest in peace, that I met once. Like, sometimes you can be overconfident if you're overly successful in the sportive arena. Things are very different. And sure, it shouldn't just be the, like, make-believe, stuff either. So... you definitely need to take in all the stuff that you can and find the gray area, the balance in between. But I know I'm doing something right when Renzo Gracie, Silver Fox, John Fitch, they retweet my combatives in street jiu-jitsu, because the jiu-jitsu guys, yes, it's a damn drop plug. But when Renzo, that means something. When Renzo, they want to keep jiu-jitsu real. The old school guys want to keep jiu-jitsu real. Hashtag keep jiu-jitsu real.
We are 40 minutes in. And that was your first hard name drop, Dan. I call that progress. I think you're doing really good.
Thank you.
That was your first hard name drop. If you're not familiar, if you watch a Dan the Wolfman video, he's going to spend a significant portion of that video telling you every person.
Oh my God, the like meme photo with the yellow tape is so funny.
Names dropping.
About a guy's back and name drops, yellow tape is everywhere.
Name drop. Dan's the king of the name drop. And I get why. Because like John Danaher doesn't have to name drop because everyone on the planet knows who he is and knows what he's doing. Right?
Yep.
But he didn't name drop to get there. You know what I mean? He provided that value, and the results spoke for themselves. Let's check in with some of these super chats coming through. For Dan, let's see. Protoman said, he asked about that. Fabian, bet the house on Icy Mike Death Touch. A lot of people think that ninja death touched me, and it just hasn't kicked in yet. They say they think I'm gonna.
Oh, bro! I told you about that guy, Denny's, bro. You get hit, and like 3 to 6 days later, suddenly, dude,
the death
it was
pool
horrible.
on me has it at a 5-year death touch, which.
How old are you, Mike?
I'm 30.
Calling you
I'm
out.
turning 39 in a couple months.
Ooh, just wait till you hit 40 and a half for me,
You're
bro.
40
Things
and a
change.
half?
I'm 43 now, and I was still like able-bodied and good to like 40 and a half, and still spar with top guys, and then it just went boom.
Dude. Like, you stop saying half. Stop saying half. There's no like. You're not 4. You could be 4 and a half. You can't be 40 and a half.
It's all numbers and math to me,
Kilo
man.
the Explicit says, "What's up? What made you choose the name Icy Mike?" That will be a topic for another day. We appreciate you so much, Kilo. And actually, I did a podcast last night with Kennedy Tactical Concepts. Kennedy Tactical. He has 2 different pages. It's Kennedy Tactical podcast called The Combative Canuck. It's coming out in a few weeks, and I tell that story on there. But I thank you so much. Me and Dan appreciate you. Kung Fu Joe says COVID-19 death cough. He thinks that you're in trouble. Now, you've been vocal about being immunocompromised, so I'm not busting you out or telling any secrets. Can you share what your experiences have been and what kind of is going on with you in regards to that right now?
You mean just like in the last few months?
How specifically to you, dealing with what you've got going on? For my viewers that don't know.
I was... Okay. Yeah, I've had lupus. I was diagnosed in 2010 with lupus, SLE, Sjogren's disease, which means I don't make tears and I don't make saliva, pretty much, which sucks. So I'm always like clearing my throat, coughing and stuff, probably because of that. And I have sleep apnea, but I really had lupus probably since I was 15. So I was trying to spar and do martial arts and not understand. There was fights where I got horribly ill trying to peak for the fight, like a couple weeks out and stuff like that. Or I'd win a grappling tournament and I'd be in the hospital ER that night. So life has always been very difficult without knowing what was going on.
Doing everything right, and then not just like, why don't I feel good? Like, why did I did everything I was supposed to do, or I did everything that my coach told me?
Yeah, a lot of muscle tears, and ending up in the ERs, even if I won the fight or won the match. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. It's a very serious disease, usually 10 years after diagnosis, which was a couple months ago for me. And with COVID, I don't know. I was horribly, horribly ill for like 11, 12 days early March. I mean, really, really, really ill. And was doing okay. And then the last week, things have been going on. I'm definitely coughing more, and I'm concerned about it. Last night, I was red, horribly in the face, feverish till like 4 a.m. in the morning. And things are getting a little scary.
Well, we hope you're okay. I think you'll be all right. You're a tough dude. You're a tough dude. I think it's going to take more than a global pandemic.
I hope so, man. I had a part of my skull removed a couple years ago, and I survived mother effers. Shout out to Nate. Video with the scar that's horrible in my head.
So what I'm hearing here is, I think strongly about that you can provide more value by talking about your vulnerabilities and your insecurities than you can about how great you are. And I think hearing all that, like that huge pile of shit that's been shoveled onto you, that shit hand you've been dealt, each of those is a story that you could frame not in the, oh, woe is me, but like, hey, I've had this, this, and this. I'm out here hitting the bag. I'm out here wrestling. I'm out here doing push-ups, yada, yada, yada. I actually recently tore my bicep, and I had a video where I made about modified push-ups. And in that video, it was me last summer when I was a bit bigger, having a female client do the modifications. I didn't release that video. I was ready to release it, but I didn't release it, and instead reshot it with me doing the modified push-ups because my arms had dwindled and gotten tiny, and people were picking on me about my little arms in my channel. And I felt like that resonated more and would be more helpful to a guy maybe in a similar position. I think each of those things that you just listed is not only a video, but a series of videos. Training with lupus, training with a fucking hole in your skull or whatever, however you would word, the things that you've been through. I think.
No, you're right. You're definitely right. And but Cobra Kai never die. I'm an 80s guy, and I'm trying to be more sensitive, and I'm trying to open up more. But man, growing up in the 80s is a little different.
Right.
I'm Cobra Kai never die, and it's hard. And also, I didn't hide the fact I had lupus, but until I didn't want to open up too much because I almost got a fight in Japan. I trained my butt off and almost got in a fight in Japan a couple years ago. And I was hoping to have one last grappling hoorah, calling out Manoa Man, and he responded to me and stuff like that. So like I didn't want to shoot myself in the foot either. And it's even being open about it. I got stunt coordinators that are like, "Can you handle it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can handle it. I can do it." And so I'm walking a tightrope. It's very difficult. People don't want to follow, the Disabilities Act and be fair to people.
I get the wanting to keep it under wraps. I have things that I've kept under wraps on the channel because I felt like if I made it known that it would be problematic. I didn't want to reveal things that I thought would damage the channel until I realized that every time something bad happened to me personally, professionally, on the channel, in my life, with my body, every single time something bad happened, it ended up being progressively the best fucking thing that ever happened to me. You know what I mean? Literally the best thing. I made a video. I tore my bicep. I made a video about it. I sucked at jiu-jitsu. I made videos about it. I just got my ass kicked in a point kickboxing match, Yeah.
I watched that
looked
one.
like a fool, and I was like, I gotta post it, man. I'm being honest. Someone will find value in this. And yes, there were people that are like, dude, fucking delete your channel and kill yourself. You know, like, this is garbage. But way more people were like, oh my God, I needed this. This is awesome. This is what I needed. And that's what our jobs, that's essentially what our job is. I want to read a couple. I got some stuff here for you. So we've talked about how shitty Dan is, and we talked about how great Dan is. Now we're back to how shitty he is. Here we are. TWD Zicky says, Dan, blowjob perspective, piss yellow lighting, frame keeps moving around. All respect to Dan, but Mike looks like a professional YouTuber here, and Dan like my dad while Skyping. We're gonna teach him. We're gonna bring him up.
Me and your dad should talk.
But then what I always say, what'd you say, Dan?
Me and his
but
dad
then when
should
I always
hang out.
say, TWD Zicky, while you're not wrong, you're a amalgamation of letters with an anonymous profile pic, and we appreciate you watching, but that's, you know, that it's hard to put yourself out there in front of people. It's harder than you think. You know, a lot of people think like that Dan puts himself out in front of people and I put myself out in front of people because we just love the attention, and to a degree we do, but it's also scary. It can also be very, very scary, very, very frightening. And I think that that's something that a lot of people don't realize about this. Like, because we have to be, like you said, you have to be a tough guy. You have to be a tough guy on your channel. You have to be a tough guy in your courses, just like you had to be a tough guy in the ring, and you had to be a tough guy in the 80s. Let's see. Mike got his smidge of success trolling traditional martial arts and now sees money in parasite traditional YouTubers with sponsors. First of all, I have no sponsors. I've never had a sponsored video. I get free gear. Never.
Rev gear?
No,
Rev gear?
That's a common misconception. This is how Rev gear works, and I'll break it down. I've said it a couple times, but maybe it'll help the viewers understand how that works. You know, maybe it'll help Dan understand how this works. My relationship with Rev gear is this: they send me gear and don't ask me for anything in exchange. They just send it. They just say, hey, we've got this new thing. Would you like it? And I say yes. Right? Or they say, hey, we've got a bunch of these. Would you like it? And I say yes. Then I also, quite separately, do really like their equipment. And I make videos featuring their equipment and recommending it. And I have an affiliate link.
I got a pair of shorts I gave you 20 years ago. I still have them.
That's how it is. So I've never done a sponsored video. I've never been paid directly. I've had commission, like affiliate links and stuff like that, but I don't do sponsored videos, so I don't know what he's talking about. And so now I see money in Paris. In fact, I'm only recently opened up to where I would accept a sponsor, and I haven't even done one yet. But I don't do it because I don't want to have anyone say shit like that about my content. But now bills are getting hard to pay, so I don't care.
Yeah, I get it. And on the firearm sides of the thing, I'm starting to get
people are gonna start
sent to me
hitting you
by
up.
companies.
They're gonna start sending you holsters. Then they're gonna start sending you slings. They're gonna start sending you flashlights. Then they're gonna start sending. Wait till when they start sending you guns. That'd be cool. You know.
I got.
There we go. There we go. And you could, dude. There's a hole right now in actual real grappling style techniques in a weapons-based environment. There's some jiu-jitsu guys who've gotten into the knife, and they've stopped treating knife defense and jiu-jitsu wrestling and hand fighting as two separate things, and they realize that like the way to control someone's weapon is through the same techniques you would use in hand fighting and jiu-jitsu and wrestling. You know what I mean? Like it's the same. Controlling someone's arm is controlling someone's arm. Now it's just the stakes are higher because there's some dangerous shit on the end of it. But like the principles and techniques you would use.
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah, I'd love to do a gun fu series.
Like
a real one
like it's
with
fun.
Fanatics.
We're talking about something cool and badass, and we're saying gung fu, but like a real one where you acknowledge the reality of it, that it's not like pretty. It's never like, and the gun goes like flying out of the guy's hand. You know, like you're gonna have to fight over that thing.
Yeah, I've done one gun disarm
in
live.
real life. Tell that story.
Yes, sir.
That's a good story. Tell that story.
Okay, so working at a gun shop, and these things happen. But I'm just talking to a customer over the counter, and then all of a sudden, someone walks up about 40 degrees to my right, and just I react. Just boom, she pulls out a gun, points it at my face, and no cool Krav Maga thing. I just like went to the side quickly and just did a snatch out of the hand. Dropped the mag, checked the pipe, and bitched them out. But dude, it's fast and it's scary, and you just got to react. Because you don't know if it's a robber.
Arctic Ruffner says, "You have no cred, Mike. He does. Get over it." So we got a Dan the Wolfman fan in the house.
He probably hates us both.
He said, "Your sock." Oh man, it's so weird the things that people think are happening.
The internet gives a lot of power to crazy thoughts.
Let's see. I need to catch up with the chat a little bit. Kilo the Explicit. Why the fuck would someone dislike this video? I don't know. I think this is an excellent video, not just for the viewers to be interested and entertained. I think it's a tremendous experience for me to learn from Dan to learn from me, and anyone else who's in either of our positions to learn from what we've been through. William Cornell says, "I wasn't a fan of Dan after watching some of the call-out videos on his channel. After this interview, I plan to buy his course." Yeah, there's a real-ass dude in there. There's a real-ass dude in there, and he's just behind the times. He's just a dinosaur. You know, he's your dad. He is your dad trying to use Skype, and he's like, it's just a picture. It ends up being like, your dad gives you a picture that's like this. He's like, "Hey, it's me." He tags you in Facebook and tells you, "Hey, it's Dad," even though his face and his picture's next to it. That's Dan. We just got to bring him up. We just got to bring him up into the, whatever century this is. But I want to talk a little bit about mixedmartialarts.com, or as the old school guys would call it, is MMA TV. Can you tell us how? It's come up in a couple of these, just real quick, how you got your start in these online shenanigans that we do.
First MMA TV I think was '98, and I wasn't Dan the Wolfman then. I was Dan space quotes the Wolfman, and so I just showed up as Dan. So I was posting on there, and I think 2001 or so I redid it as Dan the Wolfman. So I'm old school, and I go way back, and sure dog back to 2001.
They want to know if you're still rocking a Mazda Miata. I don't get the reference.
Dude, that car was so fun. No, unfortunately, I went from the man van. I got off from a UG'er, this huge dude that did the strength and conditioning for fighters. I bought a man van for like a few $100s. I even drove Faber in it once, and the door would fall off. And then I went to the Miata. That was a big upgrade. And now girls would laugh, big guy gets out of that little Miata. But they were fun, dude. Laurel Canyon, I would throw that thing sideways like you have no idea. No, I'm rocking something a little bigger now because my back couldn't take it anymore.
A good bit. I did not own a Miata. I was not the bald old guy in a Miata.
You look like you should drive a Miata. I'm a little bit bigger than you.
It's always a fat old guy driving a Miata, and it's like that makes no sense. But until you drive one and you realize it's like driving a fucking go-kart that goes 100 miles an hour.
Yep.
Let's see. Someone says, "I haven't seen him since a bunch of karate biker geezers kicked his ass in a California bar fight last year." That's from Dave Fu. I don't know any of these references. You were before my time.
True story. True story. Those old school Cobra Kai guys are pretty tough. Cobra Kai season 2, episode 6. Cheers, beers, and bar fight by the pool table. Wearing my Catch Jitsu shirt.
Catch Jitsu.
And Johnny was cool, man. And in the van, I gave him some pointers on Kotegaeshi, outward wrist twist, because they were going to do it, and then they changed the scene a little bit after lunch break. But he was a cool dude, Johnny Lawrence. Yeah, you can see me about a minute in the last big scene when they're at the fortress.
You're always a bad guy. You're always like a henchman, aren't you? You're like a...
Oh, I give an evil snarl, man.
I've seen you play like
Crack
like henchman number 2 type roles, but you've also done some
yeah.
motion capture. You were in Real Steel.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. That big fight in the zoo, that big red and blue robot with the hammer. That's actually me.
You wore a motion capture suit then?
Yeah, motion capture for like good 2-3 weeks, and doing all that, and that was pretty cool. I do have a video up. We did the last rehearsal right before the take, and I'm wearing my Anderson Silva shirt. I have that video on my channel, and they brought in for all the tons of publicity. Journalists were there and stuff. I didn't know it was going to be publicity day, and I was just getting really, really ill, so it was very hard to film that. Like, I knew something was going on. I had been in the emergency room prior to that, and been told I had a heart attack and all kinds of crazy things. But I busted my ass and I sucked it up and toughed it out from my MMA background. Sugar Ray Leonard came in and worked with me in front of the press and all that. It was pretty wild.
And they say you were in couples retreat?
Yep, where the kid pees in the toilet. It was really, really a funny nod. And at the very end scene, it was an added scene much later, but I think I had shaved my head, and they freaked out, and production freaked out, and finally they're like, okay, it's okay, just grow back your goatee and put a hat on. And, Peter Billingsley and Vince Vaughn were there, and I'm going to name drop some more, but Vince had me
Dan,
I wrote down, I said,
if you were in a movie with Vince Vaughn,
I wrote down some lines.
Name drop Vince Vaughn.
And he okay, he does jiu-jitsu now, so that was going to be the name drop. But I wrote down 3 lines, and the director's like, Peter Billings, he's like, yeah, man, that sounds good. Write it down for me so I can read it. So I did 2 full reels. That's like $60,000 worth of footage. So I did like lines, and they would come up with lines, and from backstage, Vince would yell at lines. And then it was hushed for a while, and they said camera reload. And then, oh my God, and then I did another like ad libs, and Vince is cracking up and suck. It was a very long movie. It was the very last scene, so he could put Vince Vaughn, real dad, playing his dad in the film. But Vince just cracking up, and then do it as Vito, do it as Vito Corleone. I'm like, hey kid, what's wrong? You all right? You want me to give you an Iron Man comic book? And they're dying, dude. And then Vince calls me back behind the wall, behind the set, and he grabs me. He's a tall, big dude. He grabs me by the shoulder.
That's a big guy, yeah.
So I'm like nervous, and I watch one take with him, and I go to get up from the the fancy chair thingies, and then he grabs me out of that shoulder and sits me back down. He goes, "No, dude, this is hilarious. Watch all of it." So, anyway, like I talked to Vince about MMA because I know him and head of Avengers. I know they're pretty big. Iron Man director. I know they're pretty big in MMA because they put UFC in the background of that Vegas thing where they kill the hooker. Not like that's ever happened at a UFC event for real. But anyway, I tell him like, dude, you should train jiu-jitsu MMA, and he finally is at the Gracie Academy, and that's awesome. He's got his kids training with Henner at the Gracie Academy. But I snuck into an early showing of it, and I had just been diagnosed with lupus, and I wanted to see it in case I died. So I snuck in with my girlfriend to see it, and anyway, the movie starts, and then they grab me, and a producer recognized me, and he threw me out of it. And I don't know if that's why I was cut, or probably just because it was a very long scene. Like, I'm in the scene, but like all my lines were cut. Obviously, I get paid still, but I wish I, at least for me, could see the ad lib footage I did. I wish I would have seen it.
Well, I'm sure it was hilarious. I know for a fact it was good. I wish I could see it too, and maybe. What, baby? Go get her. Go get mommy. We got some questions here. Shifting gears. Your acting career, what's funny is I knew that you acted, and I'd seen clips of you in movies. And then when you go to your IMDb, or your profiles and whatever, it's like you were in a lot of shit. You've done a lot of stuff, like big movies, which is amazing.
Yeah, Sons of Anarchy, NCIS, CSI New York. I mean, some big
I'm jealous.
stuff.
I want to do that. I want to be in TV shows and movies.
Write the buddy cop film. We're gonna do a buddy
Can
cop
you?
film
How
together.
do you think you can pick me up
And
and
it's
throw me?
Steven Seagal, 3-word title. Hard to Hurt's a great title for a buddy
Can
cop
you?
film.
Do you think you could pick me up and throw me? The old
Oh
fastball
yeah,
special.
for sure. You're like a mid. Yeah, for sure. Into like
throw me
4
and
guys trying to surround us.
Right out like grab him, swing me around like a weapon.
For real.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Kilo the Explicit says, "What do you think about knife defense?" We talked about that. I think Dan should delve deep into weapons and stuff like that. I think that would be right up his alley. Aikiflow wants you to discuss Aikido, and I do too. I want you to specifically talk about, like, Dan, Aikido is bullshit. Aikido sucks. Aikido doesn't fucking work, but yet you have videos of you Aikido tossing people. I guess you say it's Aikido. I say it's you being big and strong and good at fighting. Can you explain where Aikido fits in your martial arts, like how you've made Aikido great again, so to speak?
Yeah, I didn't know that was gonna happen. Actually, there was a Sure Dog troll, and I made that first like 3.5 minute video of like Aikido because he was trolling and hating on me and hating on the fact I do Aikido and Sistema and stuff like that. So I made that first video and it blew up, and now I'm like the Aikido guy. So yeah, but dude, I bounced forever. So there's a couple techniques that are legit, whether you want to call it Aikido, Datairu, Jiu-Jitsu, or old school Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. There's a couple techniques that obviously are legit if you have sensitivity, aware, stuff like that. So there's stuff that has been very useful that I've used real world many times. And if you talk to cops, if you talk to people that work in ERs and insane asylums, some of that is very, very, very helpful.
Well, explain. I want you to explain. Someone brought up that you've created some rule sets, for competition, and recently you've done that again. But there's been some controversy, and we can go into it if you want to. I don't want lizard people to assassinate me, but like we can talk about what's happened with the rule sets that you've invented and sort of thought up. And now, full disclosure, Dan says he invented some of these rule sets. I can't trace like where stuff originated. You created something recently called speed grappling, right? Yeah. But even before that, the idea of submission only grappling in a modern context, you say that you were kind of one of the first people trying to push that, right? Yeah. So
that's
explain
true.
it. Explain. I'm not a jiu-jitsu guy. I'm not in that world.
I'll go backwards. So recently, the speed grappling or street jiu-jitsu or whatever you want to call it, aki grappling, whatever you want to call it, I think would be great for all martial artists to do to get back to the roots we talked about earlier about self-defense and the self-defense aspect being lost in jiu-jitsu and karate, McDojo stuff in America. Let's get back to the roots of like what really works. What really works is helpful to all styles, whether you're a jiu-jitsu guy, Aikido guy, it doesn't matter. There's standing grappling that is very viable and very helpful in real world situations that I've really done a heck of a lot of times. Be that the standing elbow crake that John Jones is famous for, or that Gracie guy that knocked out Sage Northcutt. Commentators missed it. He did my elbow crake to the right hook that I taught in the videos. That's how Mickey Gall knocked him down and then finished with a rear naked choke. And then you get into the Aikido Ayadori Nikyo type lock that I do and the Kotegiishi lock. Like that stuff's really viable. And taking a dude down, Osoto guarding, slamming him on the ground, going knee on belly, double knee ride, controlling his weapon hands. That stuff is viable. So 2 2-minute rounds, 15 seconds allowed on the ground. Try to get a submission or a dominant position, and 1 to 3 points, simple scoring based on that.
That seems like it'd be like fast and furious. I've always been confused. Why isn't shoot boxing the most popular sport in the world right now? I don't understand why stand-up fighting to a takedown and then short amount of time and then resetting. Or the rule style or any rule style like that, because what is everyone all the casuals hate the rolling around on the ground and all the humping and hugging for 5 minutes at a time, you know? And
yeah, being able to strike and snap someone down into a guillotine or elbow crank him is legit. And I've watched the shoot boxing back in 2001 live. I went to a fight, and that was started by Sayama, who started Shudo, which goes back to 86 when Shudo and Daido Juko started, and Pancrase in UFC was into 93.
Like that, and like what you described, why isn't that the biggest thing in the world?
As soon as you and like Sensei Seth or that Kung Fu guy get together and do it on camera, until it happens, it's going to be hard. But hopefully, I'm asking people to send me footage. I've heard from one Hapkido, 4th degree black belt, combatives, Army combat vet. He says he's going to send me some footage, but COVID makes things difficult.
Do you know why? It's going to be tough because people don't want to look dumb. They don't want to look bad, and if their game has been wrapped around the idea of like pulling guard for 5 minutes at a time, or you're an amazing wrestler and tremendous top pressure for 5 minutes at a time and just like sprawling on a dude and just like riding him for 5 minutes and not really much happening. If it's a scramble, there's more room for guys to like not look great. And that might be one of the reasons why it will be difficult to get that to take off. What do you think?
For sure, but then isn't everybody training wrong, including the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys? Oh, shots fired. Isn't everybody training wrong? The Aikido guys should be the best at grabbing and grab defense, yet they can't do it live. That's literally what they friggin' focus on. So where are the Bakwa guys? Where are the Shichao guys? The Jinya guys? The
popularity of the bare knuckle fighting championships, as we know it in America right now. Why aren't Kung Fu guys winning that? The rule set, the Wing Chun guys, the rule set is literally designed specifically for their martial art. So where are they at? So I kind of see your point.
They can't eye poke, man. They can't eye poke.
Oh, man. So, Dan, I really enjoyed talking with you. I think that I hope that you got some value out of this. I hope that somebody watching got some value out of this. Is there?
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you. Yeah, we could get more on MMA TV and then go to the dark side with the recent video of mine that got picked up by BJJ
yes,
if you want.
I'm willing to let you talk about whatever you want to talk about.
All right. Well,
the opinions expressed.
Guys, you asked earlier about mixed martial arts, MMA TV.
Go ahead. But
full disclosure,
actually,
I
do
don't
want you to
sue
bring
me.
it up because I want to. It speaks to what we talked about earlier about the call outs and how that. What does that do? Does it help? But yeah, let's talk about you trying to drum up controversy yet again with MMA TV, or whether it's the most powerful people in martial arts. You know.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Scary stuff. MMA TV, dude, I've been on forever, and things were going good. And then I was making all the UFC videos, going to UFC and Strike Force and Bellator, and then they didn't like that. And it's a very controlling, that's a whole nother subject, a very controlling arena, okay? But, they were even supporting me, and their mods were even putting some of my UFC videos up with Dana White and all the fighters and Ronda and all that kind of stuff, right? They were making threads, pumping me. And then somehow I must have fallen out of grace from the real owners, the real bosses. I must have fallen out of grace from people I knew going way back in the day that have your hairstyle. I don't know exactly what happened, but, suddenly I was not in favor. And then mods are going against me, and they're doing really, really nasty, shady stuff. So Marina Schaefer, who I knew about as a amateur fighter, I mentioned her, brought her up to give her some notoriety coming up as a great judo girl under Ronda Rousey in my Ronda interview. Which, by the way, those used to get hits on my old YouTube channel and way more hits on Jack Bratcher's ProMMANow.com, like 51,000 views and 10,000 views, stuff like that, with Jean LaBelle, Ronda's mom, etc. So anyway, on MMA TV, I posted a video of a standing arm triangle to give her props because I knew she had just won with it. So I spammed whatever, I don't care. But, I want to talk about techniques. I want to talk about martial arts, the validity of techniques that people don't think is valid, that I've been preaching, like high kicks and calf kicks and knee kicks and stuff for a long time. Standing elbow cracks, standing arm triangles, standing Von Flue. OSP told me he's going to try to do it in a fight. So, anyway, a green namer just was nasty to me. A guy with a green name on there was nasty to me, and it was very late at night, and I get flared up with my lupus at night. Anyway, I saw that he had a green name, so I kind of said, hey, if you want, I'll show you it in person someday. So now they repeat that I threaten people, because to a green name, meaning that he had fought, I threatened people. And then they really started gang piling on me. And they bring that up, and they lie and say I threatened other people, which isn't true. And then they also the straw that broke the camel's back was Nader Hood, a pro fighter, Bellator fighter. He would go off big time on me. He started messaging me a few days ago, by the way, so isn't that interesting? So me and him are having nice conversations.
How did you get, Dan? How did you get in the position? Like I'm bringing up now for the viewers some of your old videos where you interviewed after sparring with Fabricio Verdum. You talked with John Jones, Ryan Bader, Tony Ferguson, talked to Stitch, Travis Brown. You were interviewing all these people. In what capacity? Like here you are talking to Randy Couture. How did you get in those rooms? How did you land those? How were you there? And I want to play this. This is fun. This is super duper fun. This is my favorite thing in the world. It's you with Rampage Jackson. And let's get this in here. I want to play this. This is so much fun for me. This is my favorite thing. I know exactly where it is. I know the timestamp. It's so fun. It's so fun.
Are you still going around Antonio Noki style, slapping everybody? You finally chill out on that? Man, I don't slap people no more. Are you still going around Antonio Noki style, slapping everybody? You finally chill out on that? Man, I don't slap people no more. I don't slap people no more. I don't slap people no more.
Oh, God.
I don't slap people no more.
So, how does this happen? How does it happen? How do you get in these positions to know all these people?
I started MMA in '97. People don't know. I self-published my own early NHB. It wasn't MMA then. It was NHB in America. No Holds Barred Fighting. I started my own newsletter, like as a young kid. I didn't publish that many issues, like 4 or 5, but I would send them to the early guys that ran SEG. I would send them to the SEG offices, the matchmakers. Like, I go back. I'm a dinosaur. And I trained with all these guys. I was on Team Punishment. I've sparred Rampage. I was on Team Punishment for 4 months. Like, I go back with all these dudes. I've sparred Verdum. I've been there and done that before people know that I've been there and done that. First UFC I went to was UFC 19 with a guy I was training with. I'm old school. UFC 37.5, first Rogan commentating job. He runs up to me. Him and Buffer run up to me as if I'm the famous one. Things are crazy, man. So I go back, and then so I know all these guys, and then I get official press passes. I try to push myself out there for 2 years, thinking maybe it could lead to something. I mean, I'm driving all over the place, driving 8 hours in traffic to go to Strike Force in San Diego, in the Miata, getting sunburned as hell with my lupus, and then, trying to make things happen. And that was for ProMMANow.com. You can see the interviews. His name's Jack Bratcher. That's where the stuff got views. So he would get me I wasn't getting paid, but he would get me the, press credentials officially and stuff like that. And of course, Dana knows me. I used to talk to Dana on his cell phone, dude. Dana promised me a job when I was Tank Abbott's sparring partner. He's like, do what you can. I'm like, I'm trying, man. I'm trying to make sure he's in shape for his comeback at UFC 41. Me and Dana, I'm like, Dana, he's like, yeah, when this thing blows up, I'll give you a job, bro. When this thing blows up, just wait. When this thing blows up, I'll give you a job. I'm like, man, I'll do anything. Like, hook me up. I mean, I used to call him on his cell phone. His secretary knew me on a first name basis.
You know what? Like, that's the kind of stuff people do want to hear. That stuff, they do want to hear these stories, and they are interested in them. You got to bury these deeper in your content. You know, you got to lead with the value. You know, I'm in the position now. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying what happened. You know, I'm in a position now where I shifted my content away from vlogging and beating up ninjas to show how fucking cool I am. You know what I mean? To just 100% providing value, finding good gear that people liked. You know, sharing techniques, sharing problems I had in training, being a small little guy, you know, that people felt like they could relate to. Then on the back end, once you build an audience, and for you, what sucks is it's rebuilding an audience. You know what I mean? Like, it's you starting over. It's just like when you haven't been in the gym for a long time and you haven't been lifting weights for a long time. You go back in there and you got to warm up, you know, with that little piddly pussy ass weight that you don't want to warm up with, but you need to start over. It's more frustrating. You rebuild that audience, and they're gonna want to know all this stuff. They're gonna want to know, but you can't lead with it because you'll never get new viewers that way. It'll just be the same guys that have stuck with you for a long time, which those exist. But if you want to be able to grow your audience to be able to bring more stuff to more people, you know, which is the goal, and then the money and the power and the respect, it all comes after, you know. But that's exactly what you got to do, because that's crazy. That's a crazy story. Yeah, I used to spar with Tank Abbott. Yeah, I used to spar with Rampage. Yeah, it was like this. Yeah, people want to know that stuff. But when you lead with that, it makes people who don't know you, that's suspicious. Because imagine if you just met a guy who had the stories that you have, and you just met him, you're like, this guy is full of shit. I know you're not. The people that have been around a while know you're not. At least full of shit with with that stuff. I mean, everybody's a little bit full of shit in some regards. But you can't lead with that stuff. Nobody cares. They don't care about what you've done. They care about what you can do for them. But so what happened, dude? What's up with you calling out Eddie Bravo, man? What are you doing?
There's some stuff in the basement, and like Rocky said, got some stuff in the basement. I got to get rid of it, yo. And I guess cathartic for me, I hope, to finally do that, which has been scary to do. You know, but also I'm quarantined, man. I haven't left the house in 2 months, except for a walk last night, and then there was gunfire, and I had to call 911 at 12:45 a.m. So, yeah, man, I'm quarantined and whatever. If you want to know the stories, I got 2 videos about Eddie Bravo, and unfortunately, it's associated with Joe Rogan. Yeah, I say some pretty wild stuff, and people should listen till the end. Don't unclick. Get those last 3 minutes, and you need to listen to some stuff.
Apparently, Dan has some history and some unfinished business when it comes to apparently Eddie Bravo. And I don't think I'm giving too much away. As there's some issue over the origins of that rule set for his tournaments. Is that what this is about?
No, it's more about, that's part of it, but it's more about him backstabbing me. I trained with him for 2.5 years. I basically got a 10th Planet affiliate to open, and he backstabbed me over money, and that's never cool. Man, it's not. You don't screw over your bro. You don't do that. I mean, not that we were tight bros, but still, like, I repped him on the underground. I pushed 10th Planet. Talked about how the lockdown's good for MMA, even if not sport jiu-jitsu, but for MMA, it's legit. Like, I was supportive. And he backstabbed me, and that's never cool.
So if that is real, and all that's real, as you say, right? And that's you saying it. I don't know. Joe Rogan, Eddie Bravo, Lizard People, Hillary, If you're listening, I don't know any of that.
Well,
That's Dan's. These are Dan's words, not mine. So that's.
you were talking about Hillary, the jiu-jitsu black belt. Let's just make that very, very clear.
Yeah,
very clear.
I'm very happy with my life. I have no plans to go anywhere.
Yep, I'm very happy with my life. I am not suicidal.
So that's this one. And we've talked about, you calling out me. What's up with Jesse Enkamp? What's up with the karate nerd? What are you saying about the karate nerd? You can say that because I don't think he can have you killed.
Yeah, and I'll go back into the combat jiu-jitsu in a minute. But yeah, Jesse Enkamp. I just don't, I don't know these dudes. And sometimes you get a vibe. And, I friended his brother. I started watching a couple of his videos. I'm bored in lockdown, man. I'm quarantined. I don't leave like other people can leave. I have to be exponentially more careful, and things are weird right now. The world's weird right now. And, so I watched a couple of his videos. I've seen a few before, like a few minutes, maybe. But, like, I was liking his videos. Kata for MMA. And I'm like, and then I'm like, okay, he's done some stuff in China. And then I watched like a Chinese master do some cool eternal motion, right? So I'm like, what can I do right now while I'm home? What content can I produce? I can produce people trying to stretch and do fake kung fu karate in their backyards. So I hop on my porch and I film a freestyle kata shadow kung fu video. So I reach out to him and his brother Oliver, who fights in Bellator, who I want to support. And I'm a karate nerd myself. So I friend request him, his brother accepts. I friend request Oliver, and Oliver, Jesse doesn't, I type, and yeah, maybe I'm too forward, too aggressive. I'm old school. So I type like, hey man, don't know if you saw it because I posted the video about the speed grappling on Oliver's page, and then no response. So then I'm like, hey, so I've trained martial arts 34 years. I got black belts and stuff. So where people are coming from. They're just not a troll that's never trained before, basically, right? So I just would love it if you guys might consider doing the speed grappling rules against your brother or the freestyle kata. I'd love to see you and your brother, maybe even your mom, do a freestyle kata for 3 to 5 minutes. And so he read, I see that on Facebook, like he read it, and then a day goes by and he doesn't reply. And then I get unfriended. So I'm overly a sensitive dude, and I will admit that. And I maybe called him possibly a harsh word, and I should probably apologize for that. But a couple nights ago, he got on my original Jesse Enkamp call-out video, and he made a big, long apology to me. I was very Japanese in style. I replied to him when you really know Japan, like living there a year and a half, like I have, you start to understand everything has underlining tones and you have to question everything. But I said, well, I just wanted to share my knowledge with youngins that I think could help. Here's 3 specific videos that I think could help you or your brother. And he says, cool, man, thanks, I'll check it out. And, whatever. And then I've done one more video because I saw the video with him and Ramsey Dewey saying MMA sucks for self-defense. And come on, that's clickbait, and I have problems with it, and it's disingenuous, and worse than that, it could be dangerous to MMA sucks for self-defense.
That's not. But what did they say in the video? What was the content? Were they really saying that MMA sucks for self-defense?
Kind of, not really, but to bring up Anthony Smith, a UFC contender that's 6'4" with a black belt, to act like karate or something might, or Aikido or Tai Chi or whatever might do better in a home invasion from a champion wrestler at 4 a.m. Come on, dude. MMA is pretty good. Now you need to add other stuff that I teach in my Combatives and Street Jiu-Jitsu series, awareness, fence concepts, stuff like that. Be worried about the hands that kill you. Be worried about weapons. But, I made another video.
You're looking like a crazy person in your gi and MMA gloves on your back porch, looking like an insane person. So you message him like an insane person, saying insane person things, making videos that an insane person would make, and then you wonder why people think that you're eccentric, when
I am.
Yeah, there's nothing
eccentric.
wrong with that, but you have to understand. So you take issue with things like, do you know that I recently said in a video, and you're gonna, I'm not saying this to be mean, but think about how damn dumb, as much as you know about YouTube, think about how damn dumb you have to be to argue with a thumbnail or a title, knowing full well that that's probably not the main content of the video, right? But you have to do that stuff with your titles. YouTubers have to do that. If they don't do that, less people see the video. If less people see the video, less people get value out of the video. The YouTuber makes less revenue. They're able to make less videos. So you have to protect your idea in that seed with the shell and the spines and the different things that protect it so it can be carried further and so your ideas can spread. You have to do that stuff. But you...
Yes, I know, and I'm guilty of that myself.
You've done it too.
I know, but I'm also old school, and I've never cared about money. I don't just care about money, and there's points that need to be. If a point is made, people need to hear the counterpoint sometimes too. That's fine. MMA does not suck for self-defense. Does MMA suck for self-defense?
Nobody thinks that. Nobody smart thinks that. Jesse doesn't think that. Ramsey doesn't think that. But you have to, and you say you don't care about money. I'm not saying you should do this for the money. I'm not saying you should try to make money on YouTube. You don't need to do this for the money. This is my saying. I think I'm the first person to say it. No, I'm not the first person to say it. I don't do this for the money, but I need the money to do it. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? If you could just be teaching martial arts and making videos, and that was your full-time job, and you didn't ever have to worry about anything else, and you didn't even have to check analytics, you know what I mean? And you were just free to make whatever you want, you're not doing it for the money, but you need the money to do it. You need the views, you need the audience, you need to spread what you have to say to more people, and so long as you are rambling on your back porch in a gi and MMA gloves with the gray, I see the gray in your hair in this video, but I don't see gray in your hair now. Did you dye it between now and then, or is it just the lighting?
There's silver ones that come out, especially in my sideburns. I try to pluck a few out. Is it just because of the lighting
that it looks more gray when you're outside? Oh man, you are
probably
shit, dude.
Yeah, I know, but at least I still have hair, man. What's up?
True. Fair.
You got look at your white Lord of the Rings goatee. You got
fair. My Lord of the Rings goatee. All right. Let's see. Let me catch up to the chat. Let's see. Oh man, we've got some fake accounts in the chat. That's super interesting and fun. Let's see. Wolfman katas are lit. I played a little bit of your freestyle kata. You know, like, and here's the thing. Someone, careful, Hillary can demonetize your channel in a Google seance. Demonize my channel. Demonetize? I don't know. Kilo the Explicit. Okay, I'm going to go now. This is a lit vid. Never mind, I'm going to stay. Kilo the Explicit helping us out a lot, and we appreciate you, Kilo. Think about you in the chat, you guys in the chat, and I'm not calling you out. I'm not trying to talk down to you, but I'm saying think about the idea of right now going on your back porch, doing a freestyle kata, and then uploading that shit for the entire internet to see. You know, think about how scary that is. That's a thing that people don't realize. They see Dan as this big, tall, crazy person, or big, I don't know that you're tall, but you're big and strong. You're big, strong, crazy person who's good at fighting, old school jujitsu, rambling like an insane person on your back porch. And they think, what a kook, what a goof, haha, he's propped up for us to ridicule, or us to also, you know, admire, depending on if they're a fan or if they're a hater. You know, and they just think of you as this thing, and they don't think that there's a person in there who is like putting himself out there. As long as you're putting yourself out there for the benefit of others, like, you won't go wrong. You're going to be super successful. That's my opinion. I think you have a lot to offer.
Thank you. I'll try.
Let's see. I think we're going to wrap up here.
I do want people to, like, at least the haters, like, watch some of my sparring videos. my narrated submission grappling videos. Watch some real stuff a little bit.
No, Dan. No. Do you know why you want them to watch it? You want them to watch it so that they know you're legit, right?
Sure.
Who doesn't want that? But that's not going to happen. The people that would question your legitimacy and take issue with what you're saying until they saw you sparring these guys or fighting these guys, they do that to me too, right? You're spending 85% of your time on 5% of your audience. You know, there's people out there who want your help. They don't care. They don't need to see you. If you're saying something that makes sense and then they go into class and they try it, or maybe they don't train at all and what you're saying and what you're showing will catalyze them going to training. It doesn't matter if people know how good you are. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Look how shitty I am at martial arts. Look how crappy my performance has been in fights. You know what I mean? That has nothing to do with it. If you're yourself, maybe just turned up to 11, have some fun with it. But you will succeed. I think that this course I hope this course really does well. I'm going to check it out. A lot of people I see in the chat are going to check it out.
Cool.
And that right there, so you said it. I made fun of you earlier for dropping John Donaher's name, and someone in the comments said, well, that's a pretty legit name drop if we're talking about you're on BJJ Fanatics. And that's exactly right. BJJ Fanatics, I don't even know how that happens. Do they summon you with a spell? Like, what happens? Do you go in front of the High Council? How do you get a BJJ Fanatics, deal? How does that happen?
I don't know, man. Laws of attraction, I guess. People say I can't do things, and I just make stuff happen because that's what you're supposed to do.
So fuck trying to like force people to acknowledge it. Like, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. You know what I mean? I don't know how that applies.
I know, but I'm a fighter and I want to fight. I'm getting old, but I want that desire to fight back.
Yeah,
is there. Like it's hard, man.
You got to resist that urge. The next 10 videos you make, I want them to be the new school YouTube format. The new school YouTube format goes like this. It goes, do you have trouble establishing your grips in 2-on-1? In this video, I'm going to show you like how I get grips 2-on-1, or if they get one hand free. And this is just an example. I don't know shit about fucking grappling. You would have to fill in the blanks with the details. But if you have trouble getting 2-on-1, here's a little trick I do to get 2-on-1, even if they're stronger, even if they wrench their hand out, or even if I'm like not wearing pants, like whatever the thing is. And it's like, oh shit, I have trouble with that. I'll watch this whole video. Then the video plays, and then I might really decide I like you and stick around and subscribe. You know what I mean? So I want you to start just providing value and stop worrying about if everyone knows how great Dan the Wolfman is. Like, those of us who know who you are, know what you're all about, we already know the stories, and the people who don't know don't care yet. Do you think you could do that? 5 videos. Can you do 5 videos like that? Can you do 5 videos where you're just 100% saying, here's a problem that you might be having, here's a solution to it? Can you make 5 videos like that?
Man, this is some deep stuff.
Because you're going to have new viewers because of this interview. You're going to have new viewers. That's what they're looking for, right? Then a year from now, they're like, what, you sparred Tank Abbott? You know what I mean? There's people joining my channel now that don't know how the channel started, and then they like see the fights on Street Beefs, because I don't talk about that much anymore. When the lives, they always come up in the lives because these are the most interested people, right? Yeah, but people are like, holy shit, is this the same dude on, like, were you on Street Beefs? That's fucking crazy. Let that happen. Make me 5 videos. Help me with my jiu-jitsu and with my wrestling. Teach me some wrestling for people who suck at wrestling. Teach me some wrestling for self-defense. Teach me some grip fighting, which it's hard now. And I'm not saying like do that now. Like if you want to keep ranting and raving on your back porch, because that's essentially your version of what I'm doing now, because we can't do much with quarantine. But
yeah,
people.
Yeah, people, please send me ideas. Not you, Mike, but fans of my channel or new people listening. Send me some ideas of what you want for videos. That definitely helps me out.
You need to Just think of problems that people, and think about the problems if you can remember back then, back when you didn't know shit and you were new and you were trying to figure it out. You know, think about problems you had. You know, solve those problems for people.
Okay. Okay. This has been like a Buddhist, I don't know, enlightening, go to the top of the mountain type stuff, bro.
Well, I'm glad.
I think I cried on camera.
That's okay. It's only hundreds of thousands of people watching. No, these only do like 10,000. So only 10,000 people saw you cry.
Is it just live, or can you watch it back on the channel later?
You're gonna be able to watch it back, and I don't suggest you do that though.
All right, I would like a few more questions from people, and then how many questions are we getting? Do they really want me to get into the Bravo Combat Jiu-Jitsu thing or no?
A lot of people are interested in you now. People that didn't know who you were. Dan has great skills, but his communication skills are not that good. But man, that 5% of audience get a lot of things from his videos. You know what I mean? You know, that's what we need to work on. That's all we're gonna fix. We fix that. And
I'm a really friendly, like, good person, you know, in person, but communicating, in other ways, I have issues. I do. I mean, I'm different. I'm eccentric.
Yeah.
I'm out there. Friggin' government used to come to my house when I was a kid and pay me money to take IQ tests and shit. So, yeah, no shit, $60. Who the hell did that? Was that NSA, CIA? I don't know. I ain't joking. They tested me again at 15. 81 on my ASVAB, paper ASVAB. I'm different. I know that. It's not easy being different. It's not easy, people.
I'd love to see Dan trim the fat to his content and succeed. That's what Colton Hughes said. Tomislav Kraj says, Dan the legend.
All right, thanks.
The Golden Jackal. I follow Dan. He is A+ credible with me. Ed Joav. I'll subscribe to Dan's channel. Dan, could you show some Wing Chun applications? I know you can do Wing Chun. He has tons of sparring footage. If you do go watch his sparring footage, he mixes in some straight blast stuff and does all the hand trap stuff. He does a bunch of that stuff on his channel. Look at that. Dan is a humble man at heart. B-Ray, I don't know much about you, Wolfie, but I'm the same age and trying to get back into the game.
Do it. Just start stretching first on your own while you're in lockdown, and then when you can get back in a gym, do it. Any style, just do it. Go to free classes, find the best instructor there is in the area that mixes with you. Like, you got to see how the instructor is. I'm too hardcore for a lot of people.
So look, Dan. Nobody's asking about your beef with Eddie Bravo. People don't care about that stuff anymore, man. You know what I mean? People really don't. Dan, don't worry about shit, dude. You come across real as fuck. That's all that matters, says Adam Lee. You know what I mean? People don't. They're not into it anymore. Doom Donut says, Dan, show us your Denny's chicken style on tape. I don't know what that... Oh, that's the Kung Fu guy. It was the Denny's Kung Fu guy.
Yeah, inside trip with a shove at close distance, Tai Chi takedown, and you see I do that outside leg trip with the shove takedown on a lot of people. Yeah. Like, it's legit.
The reason Dan can do those things is, like, the reason he backs it up also with the ability to strike and the ability to wrestle. So, and he can be crafty and chain these things together.
Absolutely, yeah, all the time.
Don't worry about shit, dude. You come across real as fuck. That's all that matters. Right? And Dan is a real dude. Nephew says it. Oh, Nephew's asking about Sensei Seth. Sensei Seth is in the chat.
Oh, hey, Seth.
Seth is a new school YouTuber, so I had to explain to him, like, how it works and what it, you know, like, that you can't. It's like pro wrestling. It's like if we were pro wrestlers and you like spit on me out there, and then we went in the back. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? It's like, dude, I was trying to get heat, man. I thought that's what we were doing. We're not doing that anymore, you know? Kilo the Explicit.
No, it's cool. It's cool you trying to help me and him out and other people, man.
Kilo the Explicit says, your channel is awesome, dude. Hope the super comments helps. Thanks for the awesome content. Dan is lit. I'll sub to him. You got subscribers coming, man. You got subscribers coming. They don't want just yet. They don't want war stories. They don't want name dropping. They want to know what you can do for them. And that's you. If you got into martial arts to learn how to fight and to, better yourself, and you became a martial arts teacher to help other people do the same, that's what you got to do. You got to help them. Got to help them. Provide that value. Dan, I appreciate you so much, man. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, guys.
You got viewers coming. Everybody. You got people coming to purchase your course. Hopefully, I think quite a few people will. I predict that a few people will.
Sweet.
And they're watching you. Dan says, Avery Goin says, Dan really looks like he's soaking this in. This is freaking awesome to see this live. Looking forward to the future for Dan. Dan, you got good stuff coming, man. You got people coming to watch you, man. Don't let them down. They're counting on you. You know what I mean? Just as much as you're counting on your viewers, man. So, I appreciate you greatly. You got any parting words?
For me, just thanks for having me on the show and giving people a chance to know me a little bit more personally. People get online and they see a screen name, they don't see the person. And I mean, this has been cathartic, hopefully not just for me, but for everybody, about giving people a chance. And
what we can know for sure is that there's someone else like you and like me, or been in similar situations. There's someone that was watching this that benefited. They might not even ever commented, but for sure someone was like, damn, all right, man, I need to get my shit together, or I need to not worry about this, or I need to start worrying about that. So, appreciate you, Dan.
Yeah, I still think that I was the fighter competitor that I wanted to be, that I couldn't really be. And it's hard aging, and I need to put this mental shift off of me, off of my ego, and towards other people. You're right. I wish I could do that. I need to find somewhere to teach so I have bodies to work with, so I can show things and help people more, as you have done on your channel. And I get that.
Yep, that's all you need. That's all you need. You'll have everything you wanted and more, and you'll probably not even, once we kill that ego and we get rid of that ego, you'll be like 10 times happier. And I know I was, and I predict you'll be the same. So thank you so much, Dan, and I hope we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Os.